Hello, got a bit of free time right now, so just going to make this video. I originally streamed this earlier in the day, where I had my friend and teammate Bronze Markian like go over the dually cards since he's a dually main. But unfortunately, that VOD got a little messed up and some of the audio was missing, so I decided to just re-record a video, and this time I'll just provide a summary of our conversation and keep things pretty quick. But yeah, here's the cards and skills that I was given to reveal for this patch. We have two dually cards and two MAK cards, as well as some MAK skills. So starting off with Epsilon Ray, this is basically the same numbers as the other rays, except for the active one, which is Shield 15. But Dually does have a lot of shield synergies, and this is a good support for the shield core or armored core. That core isn't picked very much, so it makes sense that it's getting some more support. And I can see this being useful with items that do passive shielding as well, such as like Dualtron and Party Float. So overall, a nice addition to Duely's items. And a lot of players don't really use shields that much, so a good way to start learning new things for Duely. Micro MAK is very interesting. The upgrades on this card reduce its cooldown, but this is basically a card that just uses an item but doesn't do anything. So once you get it to silver, it will be perma-hasting itself. And Bronze Markin suggested to not worry about buying this early and focus on using it when it's silver and above. And this is mainly going to be used as an item that charges a core, since it just uses itself and hastes itself. So yeah, those are the dually items. Now onto the MAK ones, which I have more to talk about since I pretty much exclusively play MAK. Book of Secrets is one of the most exciting cards I've seen in the Bazaar, not just for MAK, but in general. It is a relic, so some of the other heroes can find it through the antiquarian shop or through items that generate relics, like Temporal Navigator. But this item will give a random skill from any hero or monster at the start of the day. And it doesn't say monster, but I've been testing it, and it does give plenty of good monster skills. I've gotten Rigged, I've gotten like Snowstorm, so all the good monster skills are in here. If you get this to Diamond, it will give you the Diamond monster skills, so you could get like Bonk and all sorts of great skills as high rolls. And yes, this item will give you a skill of the same rarity as itself. So upgrading it will give you a lot of value since you get skills of that rarity. Notably, when this was first released, it was really strong. So I do not expect this to be a bronze starting item when the patch drops tomorrow. Just keeping it real with you guys. And also, like even if that is the case and this item gets nerfed in certain ways, it will still be a really great item. There's really not an opportunity cost for buying this. There are a few skills that could mess up your whole board or build, but those are very rare. So on average, you'll either get a skill that is useless and it just sits there in your skill bar, or a skill that is like helpful, or even an extreme high roll skill that will just win you the game. So I hope you guys have fun with this. I'm sure a lot of people will be excited and be posting a lot of high rolls in the channels. So yeah, great addition for MAK. And this is going to make him very flexible so that you can just play around what you get. Another very interesting item that we max got is the Spider Fern, which is this medium friend that is 4 seconds. So honestly, that's pretty fast for MAK items. This is a silver starting item, and I didn't get to test too much since I was playing with the book too much, but I found it to be quite decent. The way this works is whenever you win a combat, it will gain 1 multicast, and this can be PvE as well as PvP. So obviously you want to win both, and this will just passively be gaining the multicast even if it's not on your board. So keep that in mind. Now the interesting effect is when it has 4 or more multicast, it will lose all of its multicast on the next win. When you upgrade this item, that number 4 will be increased. So I think at gold it's like 6 or more multicast and so on. And this means that this item will be transferred between your board and your bag pretty frequently depending on the multicast that it has. I'm sure some people can figure out some calculations on like how many fights a day you have and then how much multicast you'll be having during each day's fight and so on. But overall, just keep an eye out for this and try to leave it in your bag and bring it onto your board when necessary, and it has a decent amount of multicast. MAK really loves multicasting items because they can synergize with charging items such as sampler, pendulum, and so on. So an item that can get 4 or more multicast is really strong, and it's a 4-second cooldown. So I can see this becoming quite meta. Also, you obviously don't want to run this in every build since it is a poison item, but poison is one of MAK's stronger lines, and like a majority of the time you'll be happy to see this item. Some ideas off the top of my head that were tested as well is like running this with a plague glaive, since you get a bunch of multicast on it, and then the plague glaive buffs the poison amount, and then this item casting in turn will buff the plague glaive's multicast. So it's a pretty cool chain. You can use this next to things like rapid injection system. Obviously, you can use it next to a pendulum, and that will give you a bunch of triggers. You can also use this next to something like Dragon's Breath, and maybe that will make Dragon's Breath finally playable because it will be getting a lot of burn from usage. So yeah, those are just some ideas. I'm sure more people will figure things out when it drops. Now let's talk about the skills. They're pretty much all the same, and they all affect MAK's Relic line, so it's nice to see some support for that. I don't think that line was bad right now, but it seems like the devs just wanted to give it a little bit of a push. So obviously, all of these synergize great with blank slate. Like you can farm your blank slate almost immediately now if you just pick up some of these skills. They also synergize well with the starting quest items like Isle of Decay and Eternal Torch if you get the right ones. And the Frozen Secrets one is really, really good because even if you're not questing any freeze things, it will CC the opponent's board for the first like few seconds of the fight, which is very important for MAK as he needs to scale up. The downside of the skills being added is that the Zosima skill vendor will have way too many skills in the pool now. So I don't recommend clicking him very much, since there are like a bunch of potion skills now and a bunch of relic skills now, and when you want one type of skill, you might only see skills of the other type, and this can be quite tilting. So even though it is a diamond skill vendor, you might completely miss now, so be very careful about that. But yeah, excited to play the new patch. I'll be streaming again. I also have to play a match with the new items, so it's good practice for the tournament. But yeah, thanks for watching.